Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the championship edition of Inside D2 Football. I've got so much of our crew here. Chuck Bittner's with us. Justin Lizzie's with us. Matt Wicky's here. AC, Antonio Clark is here. Tony Nicolette joins us remotely from his studio in Michigan. And we're going to have guests in and out all game or all pregame show. We will have a great time. Should be a great show. Chuck, quickly before we get the show started, it's awesome to be here, and I'm anticipating a great atmosphere, a great game, and a great day.
Yeah, Brandon, it's going to be fantastic. I think they maybe have just opened the gates for the attendees to start coming in. We're expecting almost a full house, if not a complete full house here in McKinney. We're looking at maybe 11 to closely 12,000 here in attendance. It's a beautiful, perfect football day. The sun's out. It's just starting to warm up. I think by kickoff, it's going to be absolutely perfect for football. I'm really excited for this. We have an incredible matchup with two undefeated conference champions, both 14-0. Both really, really hungry for a national championship. This is going to be a great day for D2 Football.
It will be. And like I said, we've got all kinds of things going on today. We're going to talk about how they got here. We're going to talk some news. Some things have happened in the week around Division II that are important, and we'll discuss those. We're going to have interviews with several people with both teams, people with neither team, Hall of Fame football coaches. It's going to be a great day. But let's first start out with and catch everybody up. How did we get here? So let's change the layout, Chuck, and I will bring up the banner, and we will look at the bracket. And then I'll bring the bracket up. And so let's first talk about Colorado School of Mines, the home team in this one. I guess, really there's no home team. There's no away team. But, they got here after a first-round bye. They then hosted Augustana, and they had little to no trouble with Augustana. After that, Mines was played Central Washington, had trouble for a half, and then was able to win comfortably in that one. And then, again, another situation where they I won't say struggled, but it wasn't what you thought it would be for a half. But at the end, they win comfortably over Kutztown. So, that's been the route here. Maybe not what we thought, but we kind of expected them to be here.
Yeah, so certainly when you look at getting into deep into the playoffs, you expect that the further you go, the more difficult those challenges are going to become, the harder the opponents, the more accomplished the opponents are going to be.
Right.
You're usually playing conference champions. You're playing teams that did a whole lot of winning during the regular season. With Mines, though, it's interesting because I think you could look way back to weeks 1 and 2 as really the toughest games and probably the toughest opponents that they faced all season. Really were not challenged at all throughout the RMAC portion of the schedule, even the games that we thought where they would maybe see some challenges with Pueblo and Western, who are traditionally very good football teams. Mines rolled in both of those contests. So the regular season really kind of peaked early for them. But the way they were able to sustain the level of play throughout the entire season, Brandon, and get to the playoffs as an undefeated team, secured that number one seed and bye in the first round. And then you get Augustana, who was a really good football team coming out of Northern Sun, playing them at home. That was a tough assignment for Augie, and we did not expect the Mines to roll as easily as they did in that one. So that was probably their most impressive performance of the entire season, I think. And then, Central Washington and Kutztown have a lot of similarities. They're both very well-coached football teams, both really solid defenses. I think both of those teams presented a few problems for Mines that we might see Harding try to game plan for as well. The way they were able to get after Matoka, put a little pressure on him, try to contain him in the pocket as much as they could. That's how Central Washington and Kutztown were both able to keep those games very close, and I think that you're going to see Harding take a few examples from those players.
Well, I think that what you said is very accurate, and I think that's the way they're going to play anyway, regardless of the result against Central Washington. But it's kind of fortunate that method there and that will work that way. That style of football works for them.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're going to see a really physical approach to football, and the way that Kutztown in particular was really able to kind of prioritize for kind of minimizing what Max McLeod could do That was a big factor in the game early on. But Mines is just so adaptable that the way they were able to find other things that worked for them. Flynn Shealy had a huge
Right, exactly.
They ran the ball pretty well. So it's just such an adaptable offense that you could commit to taking something away from them. But they're going to find other things that work for them.
Absolutely. Okay. Conversely, let's talk about Harding's route here. Another number 1 seed. They didn't have to play in the first round. In the second round, they faced Central Missouri. Score a lot of points. We end up winning the football game on a blocked PAT, 35-34. Next round, they face Grand Valley. They blow them out again. Okay. Another 1-point win, a 7-6 win, where they hold Grand Valley out of the end zone. And then in the semifinals, they blow another team out. They hadn't done that in the first 2 rounds. They had done that all season long. They were challenged in the first 2 rounds, and then not challenged in the semifinals. Their route's a little different. Obviously, the first time here, maybe not what we expected, but they earned the number 1 seed, and they proved that they probably were the top seed in the region.
I think Harding's path through the postseason is about as impressive as I've seen in the last couple of years. When you look at those opponents that you just broke down, Brandon, those are 3 conference champions, 3 really good football teams, and also 3 very different types of opponents that they had to face. So you had to face one of the best offensive teams in the country in Central Missouri, found a way to limit them, hold them to really kind of some season lows in what they do with their offensive production, held up well against the Harland Hill Trophy winner, Zach Zabrowski. Then you play Grand Valley, who is, in my opinion, the best defensive team in NCAA D2. And I think we saw that in that game because they were able to hold Harding just 1 scoring drive. Very different type of football game than what Harding is used to. Low scoring slugfest like that. That's just not how the rest of their season played out. There were a lot of blowout wins for them. So the fact that they were able to stay in that, stay patient, just stick to what they do, stay true to who they are, and find a way to make that 1 drive at the end to win that game. And then you come back the next week and just completely mop the field with a very good Lenore Rhine team. And then also another team that's very adaptable, has a lot of things that they do well. The fact that they were able to just run them off the field so early in the game, that was just a really impressive thing. So I think when you look at Harding's 3 playoff wins, Brandon, that's about as diverse of a list of opponents as you could get. And winning all 3 of those games, of course, playing at home helped a lot. And the Harding fan base really turned out to support them through this playoff run. And all indications are they've all come down here to McKinney as well. So I think it's a really impressive playoff run for them.
All right, Tony, let's go ahead and get your opinion of the playoff run that Harding. You're a Super Region 3 guy. You covered the GLIAC. What was your thought on their run in the playoffs this year?
Well, and Chuck was I was basically nodding to a lot of the things that he was saying from the standpoint that we talk about how adaptable Mines is. You don't think of Harding as being as adaptable, particularly from an offensive perspective, and they weren't necessarily. But defensively, they really were, and they did a great job of you're not going to shut down Central Missouri, but can you keep them limited enough? And they were able to be successful in doing that. And then they did something very similar to a Grand Valley team that, again, they pretty much shut them down, and that's something that Grand Valley is not used to seeing happen. Now, we did see them slow down a little bit during the playoffs, and maybe there were other factors at play, but regardless, I mean, Harding had the defense and they had the personnel to get that done. And then, of course, we saw them overwhelm Lenore Rhine, and that's a good football team, but you could tell who was the better team. So, I mean, when you look at who had the tougher path, I would certainly say it was Harding. I mean, anytime you're going to take out an MIAA team and a GLIAC team on your way to the finals, I mean, that's going to hold up well in terms of a resume. Just on its face. So I would say that to me, that's been the most impressive thing that Harding has done throughout this playoff is figuring out how to be more adaptable on defense. Because, and you and I have talked about this at length, and I think we did this on one of the pods throughout the playoffs, is that Harding's built to defend the run-heavy approach that they see in the GAC. And so for them to show that they can beat teams that are a little bit more diverse and are as pass-happy was really impressive. And I think that's going to be the unique challenge, and we'll talk more about this as the show goes along, is, keeping Matoka in the pocket is one thing, getting him on the ground is the other. And I think that's going to be a real telltale in this game. If Harding's able to actually register some sacks and put Mines behind the sticks, that's going to be key for him.
Tony, I wanted to follow up. I'm glad you just went to Mines because you have a unique perspective that one of the best teams in Super Region 3, Grand Valley, played Colorado Mines to begin the year. and you've got to see the growth and the consistency of Colorado Mines. From game 1 to now, game 15 for them, what have been some changes you've seen? Are there any changes you've seen? What's your evaluation of Colorado School of Mines?
That's the funny thing is I don't know that I've seen them change an enormous amount, and I'll openly admit it's not like I've watched every snap of theirs this year. But I think one of the things that when you get a team like Mines, who's as veteran as they are and as well coached as they are, sometimes it's not a matter of are they different. It's a matter of did they just continue to sharpen the sword. Mm-hmm. You know, they kind of had everything the way they wanted it. Coming into the season in terms of how they approach things and the way they execute. And it's just a matter of them for, hey, just let's keep avoiding mistakes and just doing what we do. And I would say that they've continued to hone that edge. And that's really their advantage in this game is just the fact that they're so good at being who they are. That I to me, it's not like I can pinpoint, hey, this position group maybe wasn't quite as developed at the beginning of the year where now it is. I would just say that team in general just has continued to stay sharp. And maybe that's part of what impresses me the most about that team is that they are a team that can stay at that level and not have any degradation, whether it be through injury or complacency or who knows whatever. I think that to me, that's their keen edge is that they just have maintained that sharpness throughout the season.
Is that just a product of having so many 5th and 6th year seniors on the team? Is having so many experienced players, or do you attribute it to something else?
That's certainly going to be a big component of it. There's no doubt about that. When you have guys who've played together that much and have that level of maturity and understand the work and the grind that's involved and required, it's kind of hard to look past that, But I mean, obviously, you got to look at too at what Pete Sturbick's done with that group too, from the standpoint of, second coaching change in basically 15 months for that group, and they still held everything together and were able to continue to play at this level. I mean, the kids are important, but the coaching staff's going to have a certain hand in things, right? So I think it's both of those things. Those are the things that I'm going to look at the most, and then health too. I mean, for the most part, you didn't see a lot of key guys missing a lot of snaps this year, and that can be a big thing that can help you out as well.
Very good. Well, Tony, I know you're not here to join us, but you can't see what's going on. Neither can anybody else. So you're going to be just as surprised as I am. We're going to go out onto the balcony to our friend Matt Witwicky. He'll be conducting all the interviews today, and Matt will be joining us now. And let's head out to the balcony.
Superstar quarterback. Heck, I remember him when he was playing up in Sioux Falls. Yeah. They were down 10, Brandon, with 5 minutes left. They came back and won that game. Now Park is on the radio crew for Harding, and we're going to go ahead and pick his brain a little bit about the matchup that we have. Yeah. Park, you obviously, having been with this group and in the mid-teens, you had a chance to kind of be really part of the growing of this program.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us, if you would, a little bit about from your time to now where you progressed here with this club.
Yeah, so back in 2011, I think it was, Coach Huck kind of had a vision for this program, and I'm sure he'll talk about that a little bit later, just where they wanted it to go in the next decade or so. And so they switched to the triple option about time, and that really made the big change for Harding. And so I kind of came in right there at the beginning of that in 2012, and you could just see the growth. Making the playoffs those first few years was huge for the program. Then finally in 2016, kind of getting over the hump, winning a game or two in the playoffs.
Right.
At that point, you could kind of see, okay, this program's heading in the right direction. It's getting to a place where it can compete nationally, and it really kind of set the stage for where we are now.
Absolutely. Now you got a chance to play for Coach Ronnie Huckaby, who's going to be a guest a little bit later. Spoiler alert. But Coach Huck finished the same time you did, 2016. Then Coach Simmons went from being defensive coordinator into becoming the head coach.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about how you saw that transition happening.
Well, we all knew that's where he was headed as soon as Coach Huck, announced that he was going to be done. Coach Simmons, he's a brilliant football coach and a great leader of men, and he was the right guy to step up and take over. That's evident by where he's taken this program. And so Coach Huck did an awesome job of setting that up and getting this program headed in the right direction. And then Coach Simmons was obviously the right guy to pick up the mantle and take off from there.
Absolutely. Now you've had a chance. Obviously, you're still very close to the program. This year, you guys went through the GAC, had a little bit of a road bump with Henderson State, ended up getting out good on that. Watched how you guys really kind of had your way with them, especially in the back half. We thought that was going to be a real tight game. Yeah. Then we get in the playoffs, and boy, you want to talk about a gauntlet. Central Missouri, Grand Valley, and then obviously Lenore-Rhine. Yeah. Tell us our audience a little bit about how you've seen kind of this squad progress through that window of time.
Well, it's a confidence thing, really. Once if you go beat some teams from the MIAA, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and you're thinking, okay, we can compete with anybody, and so you get a little bit of that confidence going along with this culture that they have over there. And it's a special culture, it really is, and they think they can beat anybody and compete with anybody, and they can. And so, you get a little bit of momentum going through some big wins. You beat Washita Baptist and Henderson, and you think you can go compete with anybody. Sure. So that's exactly what this team has done.
Now we kind of felt at D2. Our staff was kind of split on that game. We thought there was a real good chance that Grand Valley might win that football game. And you know what? You tell me if I'm wrong. That felt like a real seminal moment, a really big win, like almost a changing for you guys and moving to that next level. Did it feel that way to you in the game?
Oh, no doubt. That's an upper echelon program, in Division II. And so anytime that you can beat a team like Grand Valley, you feel pretty good about your program. And that's a heck of a football team over there. One of the best defenses that I've seen. They were brutal. I don't think I've watched them miss a tackle that whole game. So, absolutely. They were, a very, very good football team, and we were fortunate to win it.
Now, as we kind of forward into this game that we have here, you're going against Colorado Mines. Have you had a chance to see any of their games, or there's some Matoka guy on the other sideline? Tell me what's your take on this football game facing the Orediggers.
Yeah, well, very talented offensively and defensively. Very well-rounded football team. Not a whole lot of weaknesses that you see on film, and they've taken care of business. And you go back to their first game of the year against the team we just talked about, Grand Valley. Took care of business with them, and so, like I said, if you can beat Grand Valley, you're a great football team, and so I expect it to be a great ball game today. And as far as I'm concerned, it's probably a toss-up. Who can make a play here or there, who can get an extra turnover, and end up punching one in. And so I think we're in for a good football game.
Taking a look at the Orediggers, for example, when the Orediggers have the football and Matoka's looking to operate, and they're running a little bit. Sometimes they're going empty set. What does Harding need to do in your one or two things? I know you've had a chance to think about this. You had a 5-hour drive getting here. What are some of the things that you really think Harding needs to do successfly to really disrupt what they're trying to do?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you got to get pressure on the quarterback. And I know he's an escape artist. That's what he does really well. He doesn't necessarily want to always scramble. He'll break it down and find guys. And that's what great quarterbacks do. And that's how you really get burned. And so you've got to first contain him, try to keep him inside the pocket, and you've got to get to him a few times.
Now, on the offensive side of the football, we have a pretty good idea what the Bisons are looking to do. The game plan doesn't change no matter who you're going against, right? Now, you told me off there you thought they were going to pass about 10, 15 times today. Is that right there?
I would not bet on that.
Well, you know what? Last thing for you. We've been to this game down here in Texas a handful of times. We've seen 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 fans here. Mine showed up really well last year against Ferris State. We're hearing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11,000 tickets sold right now for this one, for a capacity of 12,000 in this building. Tell me a little bit about some of the fever and how the Harding community has got behind this football team and how they're going to be here today.
Oh yeah, it's been all over Facebook all week long. All these old Bisons that played. There's a big Texas gathering here from Harding, and so a lot of people that live in Dallas. There's just there's Harding connections all over Texas, and so I figure a lot of those people will probably be here today. Like I said, it's been all over my Facebook. People are excited, even the folks that can't make the game. There's just a lot of excitement in the Harding community.
Absolutely. Folks, this is Park Parish joining us. legendary Harding quarterback. Thank you very much for making time for us today. Hey, best of luck. Thank you. Back to you guys. Thanks.
All right, fantastic. It was great to have Park join us. A great Harding quarterback and a guy that kind of started it was part of the ascension of the Harding program to a national level. So, all right, Chuck, earlier this week, or well, not so far earlier this week. How about yesterday? The Harland Hill Award was announced, and Zach Zabrowski from Central Missouri was the winner. He was first. John Matoka, playing in the game, was second, and we really thought it would come down to those two players. Surprisingly, I didn't think Sammy Edwards would be third, but he was. But nonetheless, a deserved honor for Zach Zabrowski.
Well, the last 3 days feel like it's been a good day. It's been kind of intense to get ready for all this, but congratulations to Zach Zabrowski from Central Missouri, very deserving Harland Hill winner. We felt from about mid-season on, Brandon, it was really down to these two players. In fact, going into the final vote, we didn't know how this was going to shake out, and that's always exciting to have a couple guys that we think are really solid contenders. I actually was preparing 2 different articles to publish to announce the winner and celebrate that player and the season that he had after I wrote both of those articles, so I really was convinced that it should be Zach Zabrowski. His season was one of the best ever by a quarterback in Division II. When you look at the passing yards, passing touchdowns, the total points responsible for, not just being school records, conference records, but Division II single season records. And the other thing was that, we celebrated this about Matoka last year and this year, just how much he elevates the play of that entire team.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at Zach Zabrowski, Central Missouri was a 4-7 football team last year, and this year they finished 11-2. They make the playoffs. They win a playoff game. Zach Zabrowski has as much of a hand in that as any individual. So, a phenomenal job by him, and very excited for him to earn the award, and a very deserving Harland Hill award.
Tony, I'm going to bring you up, and just so you know, you're on screen now. You've obviously seen Matoka a couple of times. You've seen Zabrowski on video. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with the selection of him as the Harland Hill winner?
Yeah, I was okay with it. I mean, to me, it was one of those situations where
Go ahead and take
either one wins, and I don't know that it would have made any difference to me.
There we go.
So I was good with it. I mean, when you look at the statistics, that's always going to eye pop, and people are going to be drawn to that. I think the fact that he had a little bit more to do in the ground game and was so critical in that realm and had a lot of design runs. He was just that much more involved with their offense, where I think maybe that had a hand in it too. So yeah, no, I was good with it.
Okay, very good. So Chuck, were you surprised at Sammy Edwards getting third? Because I'll be honest with you, I was kind of thinking Tanner Volk might get third as a defensive player is not going to win it, but I kind of thought he had such a big year that maybe he would get the third spot. Maybe that was just wishful thinking on my part.
Well, it definitely did seem like this is the year for a defensive player to get a lot of third place votes. We assumed that both Zabrowski and Matoka, however individual voters chose to go, we assumed that they would be first and second on almost every ballot. And that pretty much narrows your winner down to one of those two players. But it did feel like this would be the season for one player, a defensive player, to get a lot of third place votes. So, but realistically, we know that it's just not that possible for a defensive player to ascend all the way to maybe top 3. I was actually very surprised to see him fourth, to be honest with you. But to your point, Brandon, yes, I was surprised to see him finish third in our vote, which is a straw man vote that we did just among our staff. We had Patrick Shiga from Delta State as the third place.
Right.
He actually finished pretty far down the ballot, which to me was very surprising. I expected to see Patrick quite a bit higher than that. Of course, anything after first doesn't matter a whole lot, but we celebrate all 9 of these guys in the finals. They're all phenomenal football players. But yeah, I was a little surprised that the 3 through 5 in the finals.
All right. Well, we have another guest. We are going to go out to Matt Wicki on the balcony to do another of his fantastic interviews. And go ahead and Adam, take it.
Brandon, I am joined here with Michael Zeman. And we're getting Michael in the shot there. Michael Zeman, legendary running back from Colorado Mines, finished up his playing career actually on this field a year ago. We're going to go ahead and kind of pick his brain a little bit on this matchup today. Now, Michael, word is that you're from Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
No, so I'm from Colorado.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Living in Texas now.
That's right. You're living in Texas.
Yes,
now, what about you living in
So, Midland, Texas. So
okay. UTPB area.
Yeah, exactly. So I was petroleum engineering at Mines, so moved down to Midland in July. And so easy 5-hour drive over here to watch the boys play.
Fantastic. Obviously you had a chance, Michael, to be here a year ago.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression that it was maybe an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
For some of the guys, you're getting the cowboy hats, you're getting all this gear and everything else, and now that they're back here again, Mines is after a loss last year to Ferris.
Yeah.
You almost feel like there's a different, renewed focus having been here a second time, two straight years.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think all the guys, I can't tell you how many returning guys that were able to play in the game last year. And so they all know what to expect. Last year, like you said, it was eye-opening just because there's all the different things that go along with it. You get here early, doing all the different things for the NCAA, and you can get caught up in the bright lights of it all.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's one thing that, talking to these guys kind of throughout the week, that I think is a major change this year is they know they're here for the game. They know, last year, I don't want to say that being there was nice, right?
Right.
But this year, I think they fully expect to walk away with the trophy.
The finish line may be a little different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say we didn't want to win last year, but I think just the focus this year, they know exactly what they want since we've won.
Now, you had a chance to play with a quarterback for a lot of years in a row, and he's over there on that sideline right now. Tell our audience a little bit about John Matoka.
I mean, John's the ultimate competitor. In practice, in meetings, all in games, he's gonna give you 100% every single play, every single down, and that's what you want in a leader. That's what you want in your quarterback that's leading the charge week in and out. And I think the whole team rallies around John. I mean, he's proven throughout the last 4 years that he deserves the respect, he deserves the leadership role, and I think the team just flocks to that and sees him as the leader of the team.
Now, we just got done talking with former Harding quarterback Park Parish a moment ago. And he talked a little bit about the showing that he expects from the Harding fans. What can we expect from the Mines fans today? We got a chance to see some of them out last night. They were having themselves a good time. What you expect that side to be pretty filled up?
I sure do. If the tailgate's any sign, I think we're going to be pretty raucous on our side, pretty full, and should be a fun game.
Absolutely. Now, have you had a chance? What's interesting is you were kind of a 25 carry guy, every game for Mines. Total, workhorse. They've now got you were so good they have to have two guys do what you did. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about the guys who are now kind of towing things for your squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think them having just a full stable of running backs that they can use is huge. I mean, last year, like you said, I was getting a good amount of carries, but I think we would have benefited from having, like they do this year, two guys that they can give the rock to.
No one landing both, and one gets to do a little bit of wildcat.
Exactly. I mean, Landon's, throughout the last 2 years, I mean, we wanted him on the field at that tight end position because we knew how impactful he was. And for him to get the shot at running back now, I mean, we saw it last year, early in the year, that he's a great back. And with Noah coming in too, it just gives them the ability to stay healthy and then split those reps and just really get after it.
Is there a chance that this defense for the Orediggers is better than the one last year?
I would say it's close too. I mean, the amount of experience we've had, losing only a handful of guys last year, the fact that our defense rotates so everyone gets a lot of play time, we're so strong up front. I think one of the big focuses we had since 2 years ago was just getting D-line, O-line bigger, stronger, and I think we're kind of reaping the benefits of all that now.
Now, Harding runs an option offense, flex bone offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You wouldn't have been such a bad little fullback in that offense, would you?
It could have been fun.
Now, have you had a chance to watch much of Harding yet? Or what's your take on the preparation that the Orediggers need to do? Obviously, in the RMAC, you're not seeing anything like this.
Yeah, for sure. I watched I was able to watch the Lenore Harding game last week, and I mean, impressive.
It's kind of running wild in that one.
Touchdown's hard to stop, just with all the different options you can run on every single play.
Right.
So I mean, I think as far as mine, just being prepared, you gotta be physical in front. Can't let them control the line of scrimmage. And so I think if we do that, stop that dive, and then let our outside make plays like they know how to do, I think they're prepared. I think they're excited for the opportunity. I think they're ready to get after it.
Absolutely. Guys, Michael Zeman joining us. Michael, I really greatly appreciate you making the time. Looking forward to a fantastic ball game. Back to you guys.
Just wanted to take this opportunity to thank those who have supported D2 Football this year. D2 Football is free, but it isn't cheap. Your support helps offset our expenses and allows us to expand our coverage. If you like what we're doing, please consider supporting us. Visit d2football.com/support. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, click contact on the website to find our mailing address. But again, thank you for supporting D2 Football. And welcome back, everybody. Our photographers are currently going through the photography briefing, and so Chuck and AC, a couple of our guys are gone. We will be joined soon by Hall of Fame head coach. But until then, we're going to thank our supporters one more time, and we'll be right back. Just wanted to take this opportunity to thank those who have supported D2 Football this year. D2 Football is free, but it isn't cheap. Your support helps offset our expenses and allows us to expand our coverage. If you like what we're doing, please consider supporting us. Visit d2football.com/support. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, click contact on the website to find our mailing address. But again, thank you for supporting D2 Football.
And come down. If you want to make sure you get your spot behind the rope, you need to be there early because every mom, dad, grandparent is going to be down there trying to get that same photo.
All right, and welcome back, everybody. We are going to go back to the balcony, and we will go to Matt Witwicky.
Folks, I am here with legendary Hall of Fame coach Mel Tjeerdsma, Northwest Missouri State coach. Thanks very much for joining us. You and I were on this same balcony 2 years ago with Valdosta and Ferris State. Probably a forgettable moment for you, big moment for me. But Coach, first and foremost, we're hearing right now that we have 11,000 tickets sold for this, Coach. There's only 12,000 at Fitness. This is going to be as full as we've seen this game. What are your thoughts on the atmosphere we're going to have?
Well, I think it's going to be great. It's exciting. Of course, Harding is close. I would imagine it's probably under 4 hours drive. And then Colorado Mines had a tremendous crowd here last year,
Right.
and I think part of that, they have a huge Texas contingency. They have petroleum engineering.
Right.
They've got a large alumni group in the Houston area. So I'm excited. It's great for Division II. Nothing better than to have a big crowd for a championship game.
Absolutely. We're going to get into the matchup here in just a moment because, we needed to bring on an expert guest to help break down the teams. But before I get to that, the green hat you have on, I would be remiss if I didn't say, what are the Bearcats going to need to do, Coach, next year? Get themselves back in the playoffs. You watch that team closely. Not the kind of season they wanted to have. What are some of the things that need to for them to get themselves back into where they're expected to be?
Well, number one, keep the quarterback healthy.
They've done right?
That killed us this year. We lost Mike Hollandsey in the first couple of ball games, and that was a huge thing. And Coach Wright does such a tremendous job with our defensive line. I mean, he's a great head coach, but he's a great defensive line coach.
Absolutely.
And they're all young. But from the Central Missouri game on, they started getting better. They're young. I think next year we'll be back, be strong. We got to fill the quarterback position. He's got some young ones that played, and so I think that'll be good. I think we're going to lose Jay Harris, our running back, right now. Right. Yeah, but we've got a lot of good pieces in place, and they'll be back. I don't have a doubt about that. The thing is, Central Missouri is going to be tough. They're
coming back and everything.
Coming back. Yeah, I think they lose one receiver on offense, so they're going to be pretty good.
Now, you know what, Coach? Let me tap into your expertise about running a football team. And now you were done coaching before this whole portal thing came in.
Thank goodness.
I mean, I've joked around with different coaches about now you have to kind of re-recruit your own football team as your season reps. You got to know what you got before you start looking at everything else. What do you see? How would you kind of handle that situation? And how much would you look in the portal? It seems like a bit of a dance, doesn't it?
Really does. I don't even want to speculate how I'd handle it. I think that the number one thing is you got to try to keep your players.
Right.
And we had some really good players that probably could have transferred out and played at a division higher, but not many of them even considered that. And now it's a lot easier with the portal. It's inviting. But I think that's the biggest thing. You got to keep what you have for the most part, and then you got to look at the
spot fill type things.
You got to look at the portal. I mean,
because you run the risk of kind of maybe having a culture thing if you're bringing in so many that you're losing some of your identity with what you have.
You got to be real careful with that. I think we went through a little bit of that when I was first there. In '95, we brought in quite a few transfers, junior college transfers. Now, fortunately, they were great kids, and they fit into our culture, and they made our culture. But if you take too many transfers, that's exactly right. You risk losing some of the things that you built, and I don't think we want to do that either.
Right. Okay, so Coach, let me get you to the matchup that we have, and as we speak, Harding is taking the field in their whites. Well, this is some nice looking uniforms, aren't they, Coach?
Yeah, really good.
So we've got a matchup here. Real clash of styles, Coach. I mean, we haven't had a clash of styles like this that I can remember in a long time, where we have something this extreme where we got the flex bone. The over-unders, they might throw 3 to 4 passes the whole football game against Mines, who's all too comfortable going empty set and let's chuck it all over the yard. You always get here a little bit early, get a chance to see a little bit about the teams. I know you still follow things. How do you see this matchup, Coach?
Well, I think it's going to be a fun game. I think because of the contrast. Mines is going to throw it 70-80% of the time,
right?
And Harding's not going to throw it unless they absolutely have to. I mean, I think last game against Grand Valley, didn't they throw it 3 times?
Right.
I think they were 1 for 3 or 2 for 3.
Right. But when they do complete it, can be like they had last week against Little Rhine.
Yeah.
70-yard touchdown, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so, the key to me, from Mines' perspective, they got to get some stops.
Yeah.
They've got to get 2 or 3 stops. I kind of compare Mines playing them to Central Missouri playing them. I watched the Central Missouri game. Josh Lamberson, of course, our former quarterback. Josh is like one of my sons.
Right.
So You know, and they got some stops. They just got beat at the end, but that's what you have to do against an option team. You got to get 3 or 4 stops during the game, and you know, mines can score from anywhere. So if you can keep in the game, you just don't want to get down 2 touchdowns to Harding, because they'll keep the ball.
You know what, Coach? I'm up in Sioux Falls. I got a chance to see Harding at University of Sioux Falls playoffs 2016, and towards the end of the first quarter, I remember looking on over the scoreboard, and it was like it was a running clock. Yeah. It was like, where's the time going? Yeah. If Harding has their way, they can make this. They can really shrink this game. And we kind of think, you know, is that a little bit of a threat to a Mines team that likes to be more of a high volume offense?
It is. Now, the one thing that Harding doesn't do with that, they don't run the play clock all the way down. You know, some teams that run the ball, they'll run that play clock down. They won't snap it until there's 1 or 2 seconds on the play clock. That really shrinks the game. They didn't do that against Central Missouri. I don't think they'll do that today. But yeah, that's you know, Josh and I talked before the week they played them, and I said, you know, you're going to have to practice some patience, because I said, you're going to be standing on the sideline with a great offense, and they're not going to get on the field. They might be standing there for 6 minutes.
Well, because they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Exactly.
Once they're anywhere near midfield, and you know, Harding is perfectly content with a 3-yard gain.
Oh yeah. So I think, I just like I said, I think there'll be the contrast will really be fun for the fans. I really think that.
Now, Coach, we're gonna have our folks here kind of talk about which way they're leaning on this game. After having a chance to see these guys for a little while, which way would your leaning be? And 2 years ago, I asked you that question, and you said Ferris State in a fairly resounding way, and you were all kinds of right, because they were physically a team. Which way would you lean on this one at the moment?
You know, I'm an old option guy. Before Northwest Missouri at Austin College, we were options. I just feel like, you know, I don't think Mines has faced anybody like Harding.
Right.
And so the first time is always tough.
And on a short week, right, Coach?
Yeah. And what they have, you know, to Mines, they have to be patient. I always felt like when you play an option team and you haven't played an option team, you're not going to stop in the first few series. I mean, it takes a while to get. You can practice it all week, but you don't get the speed.
Right.
And so
you can't replicate that in practice.
No. And so hopefully they can kind of hang in there for, you know, the first quarter and then get the feel of it. But I don't know. I really kind of favor Harding. I think that Harding might control the ball, just like you said, and it might be frustrating for Mines. I don't think they've played anything like that. So.
Well, and they certainly haven't. You know, I think we're in for a heck of a football team. You got a magician like John Matoko over here. You've got a style of play that's really hard to deal with, especially on such a short week, and how well they do it. So we're looking forward to a great contest. Coach, I really appreciate you joining us. Mel Tjeerdsma with us, legendary Hall of Fame coach. Back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Well, you know, this week it was announced that the Management Council had made a decision, and it looks like the regions will be realigned. Chuck, let's talk with Ferg and Tony about this. So just to briefly talk about the first change that was made, and I think this is one that Ferg would be interested in talking about, is the CIAA was moved from Super Region 2. I mean, this is all predicated on Conference Carolinas coming into play. It's irrelevant because it's basically the same grouping of teams in Super Region 2. But long story short, the CIAA is moving to Super Region 1. And Ferg, unmute your mic. And who would have known that with Virginia Union going to play in Super Region 1 with a swap this year, that would preview what was going to happen. And CIAA now in Super Region 1. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, certainly wasn't anticipating that will be read the tea leaves to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, the one thing about the CIAA in general is the geography, because of the fact that it stretches so far north, that they've always been sort of primed to flip-flop between Super Region 1, Super Region 2. And so not really a total surprise if you think about how the other regions could be shifted around, that they will probably be one of the ones that will be shifted back to Super Region 1. You know, what is interesting to me is that when we think about Conference Carolinas coming back online, that the teams that'll make up Conference Carolinas moving to Super Region 2, so like UNC Pembroke, for example, moving to Super Region 2, which is a better geographic fit than playing in the Mountain East. And then, you know, someone like a Chowan is getting a taste of what Super Region 2 life is like after playing in Super Region 1 for so long. And it hadn't been going very well for them, but they certainly learn and grow from that experience. And so, and you know, so, and what, like Anderson and a few of those teams coming online, I think, you know, I think the alignment there is probably right. It makes it a little easier for in some respects for the CIAA, but at the same time, Super Region 1 has always been a 0 or 1 loss to get into the playoffs. So there's little margin for error for anybody who's playing in Super Region 1. And so the CIAA has a lot to think about, thinking about non-conference games in the next few years.
Sure. Now, I think what the biggest news out of this realignment, there's been a lot of, I'm not going to say complaining, but certainly grief in Super Region 3 with the MIAA and the GLIAC in the same Super Region. That's no longer the case. The Northern Sun, the GLIAC, the GMAC, and the GLVC will compose what is now Super Region 3. And I have to think that some people in the GLIAC and certainly people in the MIAA will be breathing a little sigh of relief to get maybe just a little relief from the tough schedule you have in the playoffs, Tony.
Certainly, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I think, you know, I mean, I guess for GLIAC fans, is that a step? Is that a positive? I suppose. I mean, it's not like the Northern Sun isn't a physical conference, and there were a lot of battles back when the GLIAC and the Northern Sun were in the same region for a stretch of years back in the early teens, where we saw plenty in the late aughts. We saw plenty of headbanging back then. I think for me, and ultimately, there's going to be no right answer. When I look now at what Super Region 4 is, it almost feels to me like you've traded one devil for another. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I mean, because, you know, as Harding has proven this year, they're capable. I think you're going to see the level of play in the GAC have to elevate, because now Harding's going to do everything they can to stay on that plane. And sort of have them and the MIAA still be in the same region is tough. And if you're in the RMAC or the Lone Star, you're thinking to yourself, what in the world have I got to do now? So, you know, I think it's good that there was that change was sought. I think in terms of a holistic for the D2 product, did it really get that much better? I think it was marginal at best.
All right, very good.
And it's easy to be critical, but I mean, hey, you know.
Of course. All right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and let's join Whit back out on the balcony for an interview with another great former.
Hey, I have got legendary coach, Harding University, Ronnie Huckaby. Coach Huck, thank you very much for joining us. My pleasure. You know, guys, we go from Mel Tjeerdsma to Coach Huck, one legend to the next. I mean, the hits just keep on coming. Coach, if you would, you know, tell us a little bit about what we're seeing right now before our eyes. You and I are seeing this stadium starting to fill up with a whole lot of Bison's fans. No doubt. Tell me a little bit about the culture you guys have here and that you've created. You had a whole heck of a lot to do with this, Coach, and kind of what's blooming here.
Well, you know, if I go all the way back to the beginning, after my first year as head coach at Harding, I got my call when the season was over, and I went to Maryville, Missouri, to talk to the mayor. It was a moment ago, host Tjeerdsma. And, you know, I just followed them around. They were in the playoffs. I went to practice, spent time with him in his weekly press conferences. And I just, you know, I wanted to see, you know, what is the magic that these guys have. And it was very obvious that they had magic. I mean, they had a tremendous culture, and you can, you know, trace all that back to Coach T. And so I took a few things from that and went home. We were still air raid. We were air raid in 2000. 2007, 2008, and 2009.
You realize how wild that sounds to our audience?
Yeah.
Knowing with what the offense is today.
Right. And so in the bowl season of 2009, 2010, I turned on the TV and Missouri was playing Navy. Probably 10 guys from Missouri were NFL guys. 0 guys from Navy. I think the score of that game was 34-12. Navy beat Missouri that day. And I was watching them run up and down the field, running the midline and doing all this stuff. And I'm an O-option guy. That's my background. And I said, what am I doing in the air raid? You know, we're killing our defense. You know, we're playing. In fact, we played Southwest Baptist in a non-conference game in 2008 or 9, and we ran 69 plays in the first half. Wow! And I walked off the field with it, and the referee came over beside me. I said, "We're out of our mind, aren't we?" And so anyway. I watched that ball game and I said, that's Harding. That's what Harding needs to do. We need to run the football, control the clock, take care of our defense. Had a good friend named Kenny Wheaton, who was coaching high school ball down in Rutherford, Texas. Called Kenny and said, Kenny, would you come up and clinic us? You know? And so he came up there and he got to meet our coaches and our kids and did a fantastic job for us. And then he went back home. 2 days later, I get a call from him. He said, Coach, I'm about to retire from Texas high school coaching. Would it be okay if I come up and volunteer for you guys?
Would it be okay?
And I'm going to tell you that saved us 10 years of mess-ups. If we had just run the triple on our own, it would have been a disaster. I mean, we'd had a little success, but nothing like what he has brought to us.
Sure.
And so at the end of 2010, our first year running the triple, we went to Delta State. They were number 2 in the country. And the score at the end of the first quarter was 29-0 us. Wow. They couldn't stop us. Ron Roberts was the head coach. You know, they had I think Pete Golding was a defensive coordinator who's at Georgia now. And we just had a fantastic day. We won that football game. The next week we played North Alabama. They were a playoff team. Terry Bowden was the head coach. They had 19 Division I transfers. And, I mean, we ran up and down the field on them. Now, they came back in a big way. And we ended up winning the ball game 29-28. But that kind of was the impetus to take us into 2011, where we led the nation in both rushing and turnovers. So we're putting the ball on the ground a little bit. We put the ball on the ground like crazy. Sure. So we did not have a great year. So that brings us to 2012. We opened the season with North Alabama. Coach Wallace is back coaching at North Alabama, and we had a great game there at Fraley, whatever the stadium is, and ended up winning that game handily, and that kind of gave us the momentum. We ended up in the playoffs that year for the first time.
Sure. Against
Northwest Missouri.
Yep.
Next year we went to a bowl game. The next year we went up in the playoffs again against Pitt State.
I remember.
And we actually were ahead of those guys 21-0.
Over the scare.
Yeah. And had the ball on the 5-yard line going in and didn't get in. And anyway, they woke up.
And I saw you guys in 16. You guys won 2 playoff games there. That was your final season.
Right.
And I tell you, Coach, seeing you guys firsthand, I could tell something was cooking.
Right.
And, I knew that you were finishing up. And obviously your defensive coordinator, Paul Simmons, has taken over. Can you tell us a little bit about that transition and how it's been for you to have to kind of turn over the reins and what's happened since?
It's been a treasure, blessing, and every good thing you can say to be able to turn the program over to Paul.
Right.
I met Paul when he was 17 years old. I recruited him. He came to Harding. He played defensive end for me to start with. He was a 2-time All-American in defensive end. His senior year, we moved him to middle linebacker. He was an All-American middle linebacker.
Right.
When he found his wife, who's also a treasure, he asked me to perform their wedding ceremony. He's, I've got a picture in my house of my two sons when they were little boys, and my wife cross-stitched a saying there that says, a son is a little boy who grows up to be your friend. Well, Paul Simmons was a boy who grew up to be my brother. And he has taken the pro. He has done exactly what a person would hope. He took what we had done, right, and he took it to another level.
Well, you know, it seems like it's just been a continuation, Coach, of what you had really started. To be really frank. Now, as I go ahead and I take a look at the matchup and what we have here today, you know, on the Harding side, we know what you guys are going to do offensively. You got the zebra's not changing the stripes, right? No. Now, on the other sideline, there's a really good Mines team coming here. Colorado Mines who had a setback last year. They've got that experience under their belt, which is certainly something big, I think. At the same time, on the Harding side, I'm sure you've had a chance to mull this over, Coach. What do the Bisons need to do? What are some of the things you think they absolutely have to do defensively to slow down the superstar quarterback on the other side and all the weapons that he has?
Well, you know, when you play against a team like Mines, you know they're going to get their yardage in the middle of the field.
Sure.
You know, the field is big. They know how to spread you out and find grass. They're going to find that grass. They're going to throw the football. They're going to catch the football. The quarterback does a absolutely fantastic job of buying time. And it's like Paul said, he doesn't buy time to find a running lane. He buys time to find an open receiver.
And he makes plays, doesn't he?
He makes plays over and over again. You know, the key to that is when they get down in the red zone. You know,
field gets a little smaller.
Field smaller. Hold them to field goals if you can.
Gotcha.
Keep them out of the end zone. For us, you know, it's all about taking care of the football, maintaining drives, running that clock.
Yep.
Finishing drives, and if that happens, it'll be a great football game.
Well, you know, as I've talked about with our other guests, just the mix or clash of styles and which one's going to win over today is just a fascinating matchup.
Really
I mean, we're really looking forward to it. Coach, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you making the time for us. You know, once again, Coach Huck with us on the show. Back to you guys. Thanks again.
You bet.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Great interview with Coach Huck. It was awesome to have him there. They talked in the interview, and we've talked all day about triple option, or all season, really, about Harding's triple option. They run it out of the flex bone. Coach Poe is with us, as you guys know. He is going to kind of take us through what the triple out of the flex bone really is. So, Justin, go ahead and explain this to people who might be seeing this sometimes for the first time.
Yeah, so when you look at these guys, everybody's kind of it's evolved over the years and it has grown, but this is the base scheme of the triple option. So when you look at this right here, the first thing we're doing is we're going to run it here to the right. Okay, you see the quarterback, he's under center, and you have a B back directly behind him. Yep. So you're up front, your center and your right guard are going to double that nose to the second level, and that tackle's gonna slide underneath the 5 technique and just work to the next level. So the read then for the quarterback is that 5 technique. If he squeezes to take away the dive, he's gonna pull it. If he stays out and stays wide and leaves a crease, he's gonna give it to the B back, and that's what we saw last week a little bit against the North Rhine, where we had some success where they hit the big runs. If he's gonna pull it, if he doesn't give it to the B back and he pulls it, now it's a read, and you can see on that second level that safety, the money sign that's coming down. It's now a pitch on him as he comes into the run fit. So if he takes the quarterback, he'll then pitch it to that motioning A back coming across. If he stays wide to take the pitch, he's going to keep it and run it and get in that run lane. And really at that point, it's the free safety or the backside corner that's potentially going to have to come down and make that play. And as long as the receiver can get in the way, that's the big thing. They just want to get in your way, get that lane and get that crease. And the triple option, you've heard it, and it's cliche. It's 3 yards and a cloud. They want to stay on, right? They want to stay on. They want to stay on target. They want to stay, in front of the change, 3-4 yards of run, and they're going to pick it up, almost methodically. And they take away the clock. If you can put them behind the chains, and you can get them in third and long, second and long, that's when they struggle because they're not built to have that type of offense.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you, Justin, for that explanation of the triple option, even out of the flex. But let's go ahead, though, and let's go ahead and go back to the balcony where Matt Witwicky is standing by, and we will go ahead and throw it back out to Matt.
We lost our balcony camera.
Goodness gracious, that happens. Justin, would you please go ahead and we'll pull you down so that you can go get wit. Looks like we lost the camera. That's no big deal. We can actually conduct that interview from in here if we need to. Tell them both to come in, and we will handle that. They were going to need to come in for our pick segment anyway. Let's go ahead and we will be right back. I'm sorry.
You know what? Let's just bring the guys back.
Just bring them in.
We've got we've got Whit on the balcony. His I think his final guest is somebody that the audience has seen before. Brandon, it's our good friend Antonio Clark.
Yes, and AC was able to come in. He'll be taking pictures in this game, and he was able to join us last night during the show. We had talked about how we were going to go to Babe's Chicken, and we were able to do that. So it was a fantastic meal last night. AC was able to join us, and it was a great time. Gentlemen, go ahead, squeeze on in. AC, come over here. Pull up the chair right beside me. In spite of the fact that I'm going to take up 2/3 of this screen, you can sneak in here and go ahead and join us. So, we mentioned that we were at Babe's last night. I had a great time with the chicken. What's been your overall impression, both of Babe's first, and then of the setting and the trip to Dallas?
Babe's was awesome. The chicken was amazing. It was a great environment. I love the bit where they try to get us to dance. That was really fun. But the environment's amazing. I feel like it's a packed house from what I can tell on both sides. It's just, I really want to go play myself. I wish I could go strap it up myself. So
you're the only one in this group who would even have the ability to play. So none of the rest of us feel that way. So you've written the RMAC column this year. Your first year, you've done a wonderful job. What are your thoughts on how your work went this year, the RMAC went this year, and then Colorado Mines being here?
Well, first off, I'm very thankful for the opportunity. It was amazing being able to write and being able to, just shed light on the RMAC. I played in the RMAC. It helped make me, so it means a lot for me to be able to pay that back and try to give some of these kids some exposure. But as far as the conference, I think it was amazing. I think Mines has elevated a lot of the conference. It's pushing it to get better slowly but surely. There's still some parts that are dragging, but we're moving in the right direction. And then Mines itself, I just think it's been magical watching Matoka. I remember his first starts in 2019, to see him come all this way. And not just him, a lot of the other guys, Nolan Reeves, Adrian Marino, Jack Petersons. There's a lot of guys that I've got to watch over the last 4 years. So it's just amazing seeing it culminate in this, and hope they can get the job done.
Very good. Well, thank you for being here. It was awesome. We don't often get to meet each other face to face because we're operating in largely different parts of the country. So that's fantastic. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for everything you did for us this year.
Thanks for having me. This guy's amazing. All these guys are amazing.
Thank you, AC. Appreciate it. All right. So guess what, folks? It's time to pick the winners and look everybody back. And just FYI, Justin, you can crawl around here too. It's fine. Just FYI, we might be having some echo issues. Don't know yet. We'll find out. But it's crunch time. I usually pick it in the order that I see it on the screen. Today, I'm not going to. We're going to do it in a different order. But Tony, you're going to go first. Tell me who's going to win the game and what the margin of victory will be.
I have no freaking idea. How's that for an answer? I've been going back and forth. I've been talking to all kinds of people in my circle here in Michigan around this game, and I go back and forth from, man, does Mines have the dudes they need to really stop or get stops against the Harding offense? Does Mines have just that little bit of an advantage in terms of their patience in the pass game, in terms of how well they throw short? I think that's maybe the one way to really keep the ball and move the ball effectively against Harding. I think this is going to be one of the better, if not the best defenses. And I know Chuck, thinks Grand Valley's defense was the best in Division II. I think they were by the end of the year. They weren't when Mines played them in the earlier part of the season. So this is probably going to be the best defense that Mines has seen all year. So I think when it comes down to it, I can't ignore the Matoka factor. I think that's the difference. To me, this is a 3-point or less ball game, and I'm going to take Mines.
Right, very good.
And I'm going to change my mind before everybody else can pick it.
That's awesome. So, all right, let's go ahead. Ferg, because you're remote, I wanted to head to the people who are in their home offices first. Who do you got in this game?
Well, I like the way that Tony sort of broke that down. I just think that it's really hard to ignore the defense of Harding in this game. And, I think what concerns me about Mines is that they've been a bit of a slow starter as the playoffs has wore on. And I just wonder if that gets them to the point where if they get behind, they're going to have to be playing from behind and how they may respond. I like Harding in this game. I think it's actually going to be a much bigger margin. I'm willing to sort of risk it all here, but I'm going to say Harding 21. Harding by 21.
Well, the good thing for you is that no matter what, the clapback won't be nearly as severe it is in the HBCU community. So you'll be fine even if you get it rough. All right.
Right.
All right. We're going to mute you, and then we're going to talk to everybody here in. Well, what was it, in studio? How about on location? On location. Justin, please. I know that we talked like literally 5 minutes ago, and we both said, I still don't know who I'm going to pick. It's time. You have to make up your mind.
Yeah, so this one's interesting to me, and we talked about it, and I could see a path for both of these teams to win. I think the fact that Mines has been here before, they've seen this, they've been through this, the lights and the stage are just not as big. I'm going to take Mines in a game that I think is going to be a lower scoring affair, 17-10. Colorado School of Mines with the victory today.
Interesting. So we've got one for Harding and one for CF and CSC. All right. Whit, go ahead and tell us, in your expert opinion, who's going to win this contest.
I think Justin just brought up a very important point right there. And that important being that the experience that Mines has is really, really hard to overlook in this moment. We all know there's been some challenges with the first year team in this football game, not to mention you got the magic man Motoko on the other sideline and everything that goes along with that. That said, I'm making a turn. And thank you for giving me a little visual.
He's ripping off the Hulkamania shirt.
Yes, exactly. Hold on here. I'm going to go with the Bisons because I think this is a whole heck of a prepared offense in a short travel weakness and everything that goes along with it. I'm going to take the Bisons 20-20 out of real high scoring game. That's what I get.
All right, and I will go next. And literally, I can't figure this one out. To me, this is exactly like the Central Missouri game where Tony and I talked about we could see it going a lot of different ways, and we didn't know which way it was going to go. I don't think it's exactly that because I think Central is more explosive on offense. My gut, though, is leading me. I've said many times this year how tough it is to face the Harding offense for the first time, and the fact that they just want to get into a fist fight in the phone booth. I am going to pick Harding to win this game, but it's going to be a small margin. I said against Central Missouri they needed to avoid turnovers and hit one pass, and I think that recipe for success applies today, and that's what they'll need to do to win it by 2. Chuck, you get the final word.
Well, I agree with most of you guys that this is, I've said all week long, I think this is a defensive football game. As impressive as these offenses are for both teams, I think this is a defensive football game. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. I think Witt's score of 24-20 is probably right about where I expect it to be as well. But I am going to go with Mines to win this one. I think the experience that they have from last year, I really think that this season started 1 year ago at this event for Mines. They have been on a mission all year long. This is a huge challenge going against this Harding offense in a short week, a disruptive week. But I think Mines has the talent, the leadership, and the staff to do that. So I'm going with the Orediggers to win their first national championship.
Very good. By my probably incorrect accounting, we split 3-3. I did not know the way it was going to come out, and so no matter what.
Who did AC pick?
Oh, AC. Should we hold him?
AC, come on.
Let's hold him to account. All right, we've got enough time.
He's going to be the swing vote.
Oh, that's all.
And
That's
we have
right.
an idea where that might go. AC's going to go Harding. Holy heel turn.
So AC, thank you. What are your thoughts?
I think Harding's a very competent opponent. I think, what Chuck said, I think Mines being here last year, already having gone through this, and having that guy Matoka under center, I'm not going to bet against him. I got Mines by 10.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about how we split it 3-3, so we were going to get some, heat no matter what the way it ended. But we could always say we were being respectful, and then
Kirk was choking on the Chardonnay there.
So, well, nonetheless, I guess we, as a group, with the swing vote, AC, we think that Colorado School of Mines will win this one at vote of 4-3. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure all season long in every different way that we've contributed. I think as far as D2Football.com and the entities and everything involved in it, this is the best year we've ever had. And it has been phenomenal. I appreciate every one of you more than you will ever know and more than I can ever express. And gentlemen, for at least for about 3 hours, 4 hours, we are off the clock. So let's stop this show. Let's go out, have fun, and watch the football game. I guess our photogs might be on the clock, but you're going to take the pictures you want. But nonetheless, really appreciate all of you joining us all year for Inside D2 Football. The response has been great. It's been great getting to know you folks. It's been great meeting some of you this weekend. And any closing thoughts before we go?
Brandon, you deserve the last word here. Thank you so much. It's been another fantastic year for all of us.
All right, thank you. Well, that is going to do it for us, folks. So, again, we appreciate you joining us, and that's going to do it. And please tune in to ESPNU and enjoy the broadcast today. And as always, we appreciate every one of you, and thank you for watching Inside D2 Football.